Claire stood tall on the smooth, polished stones of the great arena platform. Her long silver hair flowed behind her like a curtain of moonlight. Her deep blue armor reflected the bright lights that circled the high walls. She looked down at her opponent. Ryan stepped forward from the gate. His uniform was simple and worn but clean. His dark hair was tied back in a short tail that swayed as he walked. His calm eyes met hers without fear. The crowd fell silent. They had never seen a human soldier enter the arena with such quiet confidence. Claire raised her chin and spoke in a clear, even voice. "Human, you are no match for me." Her words echoed through the space and bounced off the distant walls. She dropped her blade into her hand and let the heavy metal rest on her shoulder. The crowd stirred, murmuring in surprise. They expected a quick show, a mere exercise in skill. Instead, they saw two warriors, each certain of victory. Ryan nodded. Once, he drew his sword with a smooth motion. The metal sang as it left its sheath. He did not grin or shout. He simply stood ready. Claire felt a spark of irritation. She had fought many matches before. She was the finest warrior princess in the Jalen Empire. She had never been tested like this before. The ringmaster raised his staff. The signal to begin was clear. The air tasted of stone dust and sweat. The crowd leaned forward, hungry for action. Claire lunged first. Her blade cut a bright arc through the air. Ryan stepped aside. His footwork was careful, his body low. The blade passed close. He caught the edge of her strike with his sword hilt and pushed back. The clash rang loud. Claire pressed her attack. She moved with speed and power. Each strike was meant to break bone and shatter shields. Ryan met each blow but did not return the same force. He used precise blocks and shifts. He guided her blade away from his body. In that moment, Claire felt the first sting of doubt. This human soldier was not weak. He was not clumsy. He was disciplined. They circled each other. Claire struck again, this time with a low slash aimed at his thigh. Ryan bent his knees and shifted back. Dust rose from the stones. Claire followed with a high strike. Ryan used the flat of his blade to catch her weapon. They locked. The crowd gasped. The princess and the soldiers stood chest to chest. Claire smiled with effort. She tried to force him back. Ryan held firm. He breathed slowly. He tightened his grip and used his leg strength to shift her sword aside. Claire stumbled. She widened her stance and gripped her weapon hard. Sparks flew where metal met metal. She shook her head. She had never been thrown off balance in the arena. This human was different. She admired his strength but loathed his calm. She wanted to break him. She let her anger guide her blade. She attacked in a flurry of strikes. Each blow was faster than the last. The crowd cheered, feeling the change in pace. Ryan stepped back carefully. He let her momentum carry her forward. At the last moment, he slid his blade under her guard and tapped her shoulder lightly. It was not meant to wound deeply, but enough to mark her. Claire gasped. She fell to one knee. The crowd roared. She pushed herself up. Her chest heaved. She stared at Ryan with wide eyes. He lowered his sword and offered her a hand. She hesitated for a moment. The pride of her line screamed at her not to accept help from a human. But she took his hand. He pulled her upright. She faced him. Her breathing was heavy. She had to prove herself again. Claire circled him. She chose her next attack with care. She brought her sword down in a single strong blow. Ryan raised his blade overhead. The metal met with a thunderous sound. They both grunted. Claire saw the strength in his arms. She saw how he shifted his weight with each heartbeat. She backed off and pressed her palm against the stone wall. She closed her eyes for a moment and steadied her breath. She could feel the power in her limbs and the thrill in her veins. She would win this duel. She had to dot with a sudden cry. Claire leaped forward. Her sword cut in a wide arc. Ryan ducked and rolled. He sprang to his feet behind her. Before she could turn, he swung his sword and clipped her knee. She cried out as pain shot through her leg. She fell onto one knee, her sword clattering across the stone. Ryan stood over her. His sword tip hovered near her neck. He did not move forward, he simply waited. Claire's heart pounded in her ears. She tried to stand, but her injured leg refused. She met Ryan's eyes. She saw no hate there, only respect. He offered his hand again, gently this time. She took it and allowed him to lift her. She stood unsteadily. She raised her sword. The pain was sharp, but she ignored it. She had not lost yet. She would finish this. They took their stances once more. The crowd was on its feet. Some cheered for the princess, some cheered for the human. Claire felt a new energy. She charged. Ryan did not wait. He met her with open eyes and a steady heart. The blades met and sparks flew. They traded blows that sang through the arena. Each strike was met with a counter. Each counter led to another attack. Neither gave ground. The crowd held its breath as they watched two warriors testing limits. Claire felt her strength ebb. Her wounded leg throbbed, yet she found a second wind. She remembered her training under the moonlit trees. She recalled the lessons from Coach Hart. She let those memories guide her. She aimed a series of precise strikes at Ryan's guard. He blocked each one but was forced back. She pressed the advantage. Her blade moved like water. She felt focus sharpen her mind. Ryan's eyes widened in surprise. He stumbled. She had the opening. She raised her sword, but Ryan dropped to one knee and swept her other foot. She lost her balance and fell back. Her sword flew from her hand. Ryan's blade rested gently on her throat. He did not press. She lay on the stones looking up at the bright sky. She heard the king announce the end of the duel. Her body ached. She had given her all. Ryan helped her to her feet. She looked at him. She bowed her head slightly. The crowd erupted in cheers for both fighters. She raised her hand and placed it on his shoulder. He allowed her to steady herself before he lifted her arm in victory. She realized then that this human was more than a soldier. He was her worthy rival. And she wanted to learn from him. As they left the arena, side by side, Claire felt a strange thrill. She had mocked him at first. Now she saw his true strength. She wondered what lay ahead. The Emperor watched from the high seat, his eyes thoughtful. The Empire would never be the same. Claire and Ryan walked side by side through the wide corridor of the royal palace. The grand torches cast soft light on their armor. Claire's legs still ached, but she held herself with pride. Ryan matched her pace. He looked at the tall pillars and painted banners. The Jalen Empire had stood for centuries. Claire spoke first. You fought well today. Her voice was low. No one stood so close before. Ryan nodded. He kept his eyes on her face. You too. I did not expect such speed. They reached a large door guarded by two warriors. A tall man in red armor stepped forward. He bowed to Claire. Princess Claire, the Emperor awaits. He looked at Ryan and nodded. And you, human soldier. Claire offered Ryan her arm. He took it. They entered a high chamber filled with carved stone and golden light. At the center sat Emperor Turan on a simple throne. He looked older but strong. His eyes held wisdom. Behind him stood advisors and generals. The Emperor spoke. Princess Claire, Ryan, you have shown skill and respect. Our people watched with awe. He turned to Ryan. Your strength and honor have impressed us. Ryan bowed his head. Claire felt a burst of pride. One advisor spoke next. Your Majesty, Ryan is a stranger here. He may be a spy. He glanced at Ryan with doubt. The other advisors murmured in agreement. Claire felt anger rise. She knew this soldier. She saw his honor. She stepped forward. My father, Ryan, is no spy. He fought fair and showed no trickery. He saved no one today, but he earned respect with each move. The Emperor watched his daughter. Ryan bowed again. He did not speak. The chamber grew silent. The Emperor rested his hand on his chin. At last he nodded. So it is. We will give Ryan a chance. I have a mission for you both. Claire's eyes lit up. Ryan looked curious. The Emperor gestured to a map on a side table. It showed the rough lands beyond the city walls. My scouts report trouble near the ruins of Tekshar. A rival clan has moved weapons there. I want you two to find their camp and learn their plan. Claire pressed her lips together. She had trained for missions like this. Ryan straightened. He reached for the map. Together they traced the path through forests and rocky hills. The Emperor named a few guards who would go with them. Ryan and Claire would lead the group. As they left the chamber, Claire felt a new sense of purpose. She looked at Ryan. "We leave at dawn tomorrow," she paused. "We will need rest and supplies. Meet me at the stables then." Ryan nodded. "I will be there." They parted near the door. Claire walked away with her head high. Ryan watched her go. He felt proud and nervous. Outside the palace, the sky was fading to dusk. Claire made her way to the training yard. She needed to clear her mind. She found her friend Kai, a young guard with a friendly face. Kai waved. "Princess, how is your leg?" He nodded toward her bandage. Claire smiled. "It aches, but it will heal." She lifted her chin. "We have a mission at dawn. I must prepare." Kai raised an eyebrow. "A mission? With a human soldier?" He spoke quietly. Claire leaned close. "With Ryan. He is my partner. I trust him." Kai looked thoughtful. "Be careful, Princess." "Not all trust easily." Claire patted his shoulder. "I know. But we must act. Our empire needs the truth." She turned and walked to the armory. There she chose quiet boots and a simple cloak. She asked for healing salves for her leg. The armorer, a kind woman named Marla, applied a cool paste and wrapped her leg gently. Marla looked at Claire's face. "You honor us, Princess. May this help your pain." Claire smiled. "Thank you, Marla." She left with a lighter step. Meanwhile, Ryan made his way to the stables. He walked past the long stone walls. He thought of his own home far away. He missed the warm sunlight of earth and the sound of wind through trees, but he felt a duty here. He knew he must prove himself. He reached the stables and saw the horses lined up. He chose a strong steed with dark mane. He spoke softly. "I will need you tomorrow." He patted the horse's neck. It whinnied quietly. As he prepared his gear, Kai joined him. Claire's friend nodded. "You must know how to ride." "Princess will expect your help." Ryan saddled his horse. He checked his boots and belt. He found the small knife he carried for emergencies. He closed his eyes. He pictured the ruins and the mission ahead. Dawn arrived with pale pink light. The two rode out of the palace gates. Claire led the way at a steady pace. Ryan followed with 2 guards behind them. The road wound through farmland and fields of tall grass. The air smelled of damp earth. Claire glanced at Ryan. "We ride carefully. The clan may have scouts." She pointed ahead to a line of trees. "We will travel through that wood?" She urged her horse forward. Inside the trees, the light was dim. Birds called overhead. Claire slowed. "Watch for traps," she whispered. Ryan slid off his horse. He stepped ahead and checked the ground. He tapped a vine and it fell harmlessly. He signaled all clear. They continued deeper. The guards followed. Quietly, Ryan felt the thrill of danger. He had never led a patrol like this. He kept his hand near his sword. After an hour, they neared the edge of the woods. Claire pointed to rocky walls ahead. "The ruins are there," she sighed. "It feels strange to see this place empty after so long." Ryan nodded. They dismounted and moved on foot. They crept among broken pillars and mossy stones. Shadows hid every corner. Claire crouched behind a low wall. Ryan joined her. They whispered plans. She held a small crystal that glowed faintly. It was a scanner for hidden traps. Suddenly a soft click rang out. Claire yelped and fell back as a dart whistled by. The guards raised their swords. Ryan pressed his palm to the ground. He pointed to a hidden contraption of wood and metal. He used his knife and cut a wire. Claire watched his calm hands. She smiled. "You have sharp eyes." Ryan bowed his head. "I learned to look closer." They moved forward. In a small clearing they saw a camp. Tents of dark cloth stood around a fire pit. Fighters moved between tents, weapons ready. Claire counted at least 20. She leaned close to Ryan. "We need to know their plan. I will sneak to the tents." "You keep watch?" Ryan nodded. He covered her with his body as she slipped away like a shadow. He stayed low and scanned the clearing. Claire reached a tent and hid behind a crate. She heard 2 voices. One was rough, a man with deep voice. The other was softer, a woman. The Jalen roads will be blocked soon, the man said. We will. Strike when they least expect, the woman laughed. And the ships on the river? We will seize them, Claire's heart pounded. She stepped back. She saw a map spread on a table. She touched the edge and it fluttered. The men looked up. Who's there? One shouted. Ryan sprang from his spot and knocked the first man aside. He drew his sword and called to Claire. She lunged forward. They fought in silent motion. The guards rushed in behind. In minutes the fight ended. The rival clan lay tied. Claire scanned the map again. She saw marks on the river and roads. She memorized every detail. She stood and faced Ryan. He held his sword at ease. We have what we need. She nodded. They led the guards back through the ruins and woods. The sun had climbed high. Claire felt the heat on her skin. As they reached the palace gates, the emperor awaited. He wore a stern look. Claire and Ryan bowed deeply. Claire spoke first. Your Majesty, they plan to block the roads and take the ships. She unfolded her cloak to reveal the map drawing on parchment. The emperor nodded and tested the parchment. He smiled. Well done. You two have saved the empire. He reached out and placed his hand on both their shoulders. I knew your pairing would bear fruit. Claire and Ryan stood side by side. They looked into each other's eyes. Respect had grown into a true bond. They had faced danger together and won. As they entered the throne room, Claire felt hope. Ryan felt pride. They had proven themselves. What lay ahead was unknown, but they would face it as partners. Claire rode out the cheers of the crowd as she guided her horse back to the stables. Ryan followed on his own mount. The palace walls loomed above them as they reached the gates. Claire dismounted and handed the reins to a stable hand. Her leg still throbbed, but she did not limp. She had grown stronger in mind. Inside the courtyard, servants moved quietly. Claire found Ryan near a fountain. Water sparkled in the morning light. He knelt beside her and applied a fresh salve to her wound. Claire winced but kept her breath steady. Thank you, she said softly. You did not have to help, Ryan smiled. I could not leave you hurt. Claire looked away and felt her cheeks warm. She stood and wiped her hands on her cloak. Come. We have much to prepare. They walked through halls lined with tapestries depicting battles long past. They reached the war room. A large table held the same map from before. Kai and two soldiers waited. Claire tapped the map. We know the rival clan plans to attack our supply lines at the market town. We must secure the roads and protect the merchant caravans. Ryan leaned over and traced the route with his finger. We should station scouts on the hills west of the town. They will see movement before the clan reaches it, Claire nodded. And then we send a small strike team to cut them off, Kai added. The clan fights in groups, a hit-and-fade tactic. We must force them into open ground. Ryan and Claire looked at each other. Their plans fit? The emperor entered quietly. His robe swept the stone floor. Claire bowed her head. Ryan offered a respectful nod. The emperor studied them. Your plan is solid. I authorize you to lead 50 men. Be swift and bring back news. Claire felt pride at his faith. Ryan stood tall. We will not fail. The emperor turned and left. Claire and Ryan moved to the armory. They chose light armor and simple weapons for their strike team. Claire picked a short sword and a curved dagger. Ryan chose a long blade and a hunting bow. They packed rations and water skins. A healer named Selma handed them herbs for wounds. Keep this close, she said. It will ease pain and stop bleeding. Claire thanked her. At midday they set out. 50 soldiers marched behind them. The road was dusty and lined with wild grasses. The sky was clear. Ryan rode beside Claire. He pointed to tracks on the ground. They passed here last night? Claire studied the hoofprints and footprints. They move fast. We must hurry. She raised her hand and the column quickened their pace. The road wound through rolling hills. After 2 hours, Claire raised her hand to halt. They reached the crest of a hill. Below lay the market town. Traders packed goods in wooden carts. Flags fluttered in the breeze. Claire felt the weight of her responsibility. She turned to Ryan. We will send scouts ahead. 2 groups of 5 each. One to the west, one to the east. Ryan dismounted and gathered 10 soldiers. They moved quietly down the hill. Claire watched them disappear behind a crag. She inhaled deeply. She felt the danger in the air. After 10 minutes, Ryan and the scouts returned. Ryan knelt and reported quietly. No enemy seen so far, but signs of a camp near the river 6 miles east. They will use the river road to reach the town. Claire frowned. Then we must block that path. She pointed to a narrow pass to the east. We will station archers there. You will lead them. Ryan nodded. And you will guard the west road. Claire agreed. They split their men. Ryan led 20 archers through a narrow valley. Claire took the rest to the west pass. Both groups moved under low cover. Claire found a rocky outcrop where she and her men settled. She knelt and whispered to the soldiers. Hold your fire until I signal. The soldiers nodded. Hours passed without sound. Claire's leg ache faded as she watched the empty path. The sun moved behind clouds. Claire shifted her cloak. She recalled the first duel in the arena. Ryan's calm had shaken her then. Now she felt the same calm in his presence. Suddenly, a distant horn sounded. Claire's heart raced. She lifted her hand and used a small whistle to signal her men. Arrows hissed through the air and struck shields. The rival clan fighters cried out and raised their swords. Claire leaped from the rock and charged with her sword drawn. The soldiers followed, surrounding the clan on the eastern pass. Ryan saw movement. He raised a hand to signal his archers. A volley of arrows flew into the clan's rear. The enemy turned and saw they were trapped between two forces. Panic spread among their ranks. Claire fought at the front line. Her blade moved in. Simple, strong strokes. The clan fighters were skilled but surprised. One man lunged at her. She parried and swept his feet. He fell. She kicked his sword away and held her blade at his throat. Without hesitation, she spared him. He dropped his sword and backed away. The fighting ended quickly. The rival clan laid down arms. Ryan and Claire met in the middle of the pass. They rode forward together. The enemy soldiers knelt in surrender. Claire dismounted and approached the clan leader. He wore battered armor and a burnt cloak. Why do you attack our people? Claire asked. The leader bowed his head. We have no food or work. The emperor's taxes left us starving. We saw no choice. Claire looked at her soldiers. They lowered their swords. She turned to Ryan. We must bring this to the emperor. Ryan nodded. They bound the clan leader's hands and mounted their horses. The journey back was quiet. Claire thought of the hardship that drove men to war. Ryan rode beside her. She broke the silence. You fought well today? You saved lives with your arrows? Ryan shook his head. Your presence gave me strength. Without your plan, we would have lost the valley. Claire smiled. They reached the palace. Gates as dusk fell, torches burned bright. The emperor stood waiting. He watched as Claire and Ryan rode in. The soldiers dismounted and led the prisoners forward. Claire spoke. Your Majesty, the clan attacked out of desperation. They plan to strike the town for food and taxes. They are willing to submit and serve if you lower their burden? The emperor studied the clan leader. He turned to Claire. Your mercy honors me, princess. He turned to Ryan. And you, human, have shown wisdom. I will consider their plea. Ryan bowed. The emperor dismissed the soldiers. Claire and Ryan walked through the silent marble hall. Claire paused and touched Ryan's arm. Thank you for standing with me, Ryan smiled softly. I would follow you into any battle. Claire felt a warmth in her chest. She turned and looked at him. Their eyes met in understanding. As they parted for the night, Claire returned to her chambers. She removed her armor and sat by the window. She watched the stars appear. She thought of the human warrior who had mocked her with his calm. Now she saw his true strength. She wondered what tomorrow would bring. In a nearby room, Ryan cleaned his bow and sword. He hung them on the wall. He walked to the window and looked at the same stars. He thought of Earth and home. He knew his journey here had changed him. He had found respect and friendship beyond borders. The palace slept under a sky full of stars. Claire closed her eyes and dreamed of new battles. Ryan closed his and dreamed of the princess's silver hair. The Empire would face many trials ahead. Together they would meet them. Claire and Ryan stood at the great iron gate of the forgotten fortress. Vines crawled up the cracked stones. The wind carried the scent of rain. The Emperor had sent them here with a small force. Their task was to recover ancient weapons lost. In this place long ago, the group numbered 10. Claire, Ryan, 2 scouts, 3 soldiers, a healer, a scholar, and a mapkeeper. Claire checked her boots and tightened the straps on her short sword. Ryan tightened the quiver of arrows on his back and tested his bow. The healer, Selma, offered them water skins and a satchel of herbs. Claire addressed the group. We move. As one, stay close and watch each other's backs. The soldiers nodded. The scholar, Mara, held a rolled scroll. She looked at the map and pointed. The weapons lie in the central hall. We follow the main corridor. She rolled the scroll and tucked it away. They entered the fortress. Darkness greeted them. Claire signaled for torches. The scouts lit them and the light flickered on damp walls. The floor was uneven. Each step echoed. Ryan walked beside Claire in silence, his eyes scanning shadows. After 20 minutes of walking, the corridor split. The mapkeeper Liam knelt and unrolled his map on the floor. This way turns left. The hall is straight ahead. He pointed to a rough mark. Claire nodded and led the way down a narrow passage. In the passage they saw signs of movement. Broken arrows lay on the ground. Claire knelt and picked up one arrowhead. She studied its shape. She looked at Ryan. They were here. Someone waited. For us, Ryan hummed under his breath. We go carefully. He knelt and checked the string on his bow. I will watch our rear. They moved forward. The corridor opened into a wide room. Once it held a great throne, now it held rubble. Vines crept through cracks. The scholar gasped. This was the king's hall. She approached a carved pillar. Ryan watched the darkness above her. He raised a hand and pointed. Claire turned. Arrows fell from an overhead ledge and struck the guard behind her. Claire shouted. Ambush! Soldiers drew swords. Ryan dropped his pack and knocked an arrow. He fired. The arrow flew high and struck a hidden figure in the chest. The figure collapsed. More shapes moved on the ledge. Another arrow struck. Solidars charged forward. Claire and Ryan fought side by side. Claire slashed at a man who tried to flank Ryan. Ryan fired arrows into the shadows. The group of enemies was small but fierce. They wore tattered cloaks and wove between columns. During the fight, Selma called out for help. The healer stumbled as she tried to reach a fallen soldier. Claire ran to her side and fought off an enemy. Ryan noticed and shot an arrow that pinned the attacker's cloak to the wall. The man cried out and fell. Once the enemies fell, silence filled the room. Claire and Ryan checked their group. The soldier was wounded in the shoulder. Selma applied herbs and wrapped the wound. The mapkeeper shook. They came from the east corridor. They wanted to slow us. He whispered. Claire pressed her hand to the mapkeeper's shoulder. We will be safe. We move now. She led them to the east corridor. The corridor was dark and narrow. Vines glowed faintly in torchlight. The healer cleaned her tools and followed. Behind Dot as they walked, Ryan spoke softly. There may be more ahead. We must stay ready. Claire nodded. We will. You watch the shadows. I watch the floor. They moved in silence, trusting each other. Soon they reached a heavy wooden door reinforced with steel bands. Mara unrolled a small chart. This door leads to the central hall. The weapons lie beyond. Claire opened the door slowly. It creaked. They entered a vast chamber. Broken statues lined the walls. At the center lay a fallen archway. Beyond it, metal crates glowed faintly. Claire whipped her sword forward. Stay behind me. Ryan drew his blade and covered her left. They approached the crates. One had a broken lock. Claire pried it open. Inside lay silver blades etched with runes and small crystals. Ryan gasped. These are the star-forged blades. He reached out, but Claire held him back. Not yet. She scanned the room. The scholar moved forward. The crystals are a power source. We must choose wisely. She knelt and read the runes. The blades bond to the worthy. We cannot take more than 2. Claire exchanged a glance with Ryan. They nodded. Claire opened one crate. She lifted a short sword with a pale glow. The blade hummed in her hand. She felt a warmth in her arm. Ryan approached the second crate and pulled out a bow with a silver grip. The limbs of the bow shimmered. He strung it, and the string sang. Claire smiled. We are ready. Ryan tested a draw. The string felt strong. He nodded to her. Suddenly, the chamber shook. Dust fell. Stones cracked. Hidden doors in the walls slid open. More enemies poured in from 3 sides. Claire took a deep breath. She raised her glowing sword. Ryan aimed his new bow. The soldiers formed a circle around them. Claire shouted, Protect the healer and scholar. Ryan and I will hold them. Selma waved them forward. The scholar and mapkeeper dove behind a statue. The enemies charged. Claire met the first with the star-forged sword. The blade cut through armor as if it were cloth. Ryan fired arrow after arrow. Each arrow flew straight and true. The new bow guided his aim. Claire fought with new skill. The glowing sword pulsed. With energy, each swing created a ripple of light. The room brightened. Ryan's arrows found gaps in armor. He aimed at enemy eyes and joints. The battle raged. A large warrior broke through the circle and lunged at Claire. She blocked with the sword but felt the force knock her back. Ryan saw this and shot an arrow that struck the attacker's shoulder. The man roared and fell. Claire rushed to Ryan's side. Thank you, he nodded. We fight as one. The healer seized the moment to drag the wounded soldier and scholar to safety. The mapkeeper clutched the map. More enemies advanced. Ryan loosed a special arrow infused with crystal energy. It exploded in a flash and threw several attackers back. Claire struck the ground with her sword. A circle of light forced enemies to step back. Soon only a few remained. With a final cry, Claire and Ryan pressed forward. They cut down the last guards. The chamber fell silent again. Breaths panted. Torches flickered. Claire and Ryan stood together. Their armor was dented, clothes dirty, but their weapons glowed. The soldiers cheered. Mara stepped forward and clapped. You did it. You retrieved the blades and protected us all. Claire lowered her sword. We could not have done it without each other. She looked at Ryan. Your arrow saved my back. Ryan offered his hand. Claire took it. He helped her step down from the rubble of fallen stones. She smiled. She felt respect and trust. The group gathered the weapons and loaded them into their packs. The mapkeeper led them back to the open air. The rain had started. The wind blew hard. Claire raised her new sword. She let raindrops run down the blade. She felt its power. Ryan stood beside her. He lifted his bow and let water drip from its limbs. He turned to her. We make a good team, Claire nodded. Better than I ever thought. They mounted their horses. The healer led the way to the fortress gate. As they rode out, Claire glanced at Ryan. The storm clouds parted slightly, letting moonlight through. She thought of his calm in the arena, and now here. She believed they could face any challenge ahead. The road back to the palace was long and muddy. The group traveled through forests and fields. They spoke little, each lost in thoughts of the battle. When they reached the palace gates, dawn broke. Torches were carried by guards. The emperor and his court waited. Claire and Ryan dismounted and handed him the star-forged sword. And bow. The emperor gazed at the weapons in awe. He whispered, Power and honor belong to you both. He turned to the court. These two have proven worth beyond rank. They shall be champions of the empire. Cheers rose. Claire and Ryan bowed deeply. Later, alone in her chambers, Claire sat by the window and held the glowing sword. Ryan entered quietly. He placed the bow on the table. They stood facing each other. Ryan broke the silence. We did well, Claire smiled. Yes, we did. She looked at him. Thank you for your strength and trust. Ryan reached for her hand. They stood together, weapons laid aside. Outside, the Empire woke to a new day. Claire and Ryan knew their bond was sealed in battle. They would face the future side by side. Claire walked through the marble halls of the palace. The torches along the walls cast warm light on her path. Her leg was healing, but she still felt the ache when she walked too fast. Ryan walked beside her, carrying his bow in quiet confidence. They had returned from the fortress at dawn, and the Emperor had called them to his court. The throne room was grand. Tall pillars rose to the ceiling, and tapestries told stories of ancient battles. Claire and Ryan bowed to the Emperor. He sat in his simple chair, his eyes kind but weary. Behind him stood several advisors. Their faces were serious. "Princess Claire, Ryan," the Emperor said. "You have returned safely with the star-forged weapons. You did well." He gestured to the crates on a low platform. Inside lay the glowing sword and the silver bow. Claire stepped forward. "We fought honorably, Your Majesty." "The weapons were guarded by ambushers, but we protected the group and secured the blades." Ryan bowed his head. "It was an honor." "Your Majesty?" an advisor spoke next. His voice was smooth but cold. "Your Majesty, this human soldier is more than a stranger? He wields grace and power like one of your own champions?" "Perhaps too much power," the other advisors nodded. One woman folded her arms. Claire felt their eyes on Ryan. The Emperor frowned. "What do you mean?" "He may be a spy," the man said. "His quick rise worries us." "He came here with no rank, yet he leads your missions." Ryan squared his shoulders. Claire moved closer to him. She touched his arm. "He is no spy," she said, her voice firm. "He served with honor in the arena, in the field, and in the ancient fortress. He saved lives and fought only enemies of the Empire." Another advisor stepped forward. "Princess, your loyalty is clear, but we must protect the Empire from unknown threats." "This soldier's background is a mystery." Claire's heart pounded. She lifted her chin. "Ryan came from far away, but his actions speak louder than words. He earned respect in battle. Should we doubt every stranger who shows courage?" The advisors looked at her, surprised by her strength. The Emperor raised a hand. "Enough, I will decide his fate." He turned to Ryan. "Human soldier, tell me of your past." "Why did you come to our empire?" Ryan bowed. He spoke clearly. "I was born on Earth, in a small town by the sea. I learned to fight to protect my home. When I heard of your empire's struggle, I volunteered to serve your people. I wanted to help build peace and show that humans are not enemies." Murmurs rose in the hall. Claire watched the advisors exchange glances. One advisor whispered to another and shook his head. Claire felt anger at their doubt. An advisor spoke again. "Your Majesty, words are easy. Can we trust his skill is not a trick?" Claire stepped forward. They saw him fight. They heard the crowd cheer. "His skill is real. He saved me in the arena, and he saved many in the fortress." She looked at each advisor. "If you doubt him, you doubt every brave soldier who fights for you." The Emperor studied Claire. He then looked at Ryan. Ryan met his gaze. "I would die for the Empire," Ryan said softly. "I pledge my life to its people." The advisors fell silent. The Emperor rose from his chair. He folded his hands. "This council is dismissed." He turned. "Ryan, you are a champion of the Empire. Serve at my side." Claire breathed out slowly. She smiled at Ryan. Ryan bowed. He felt relief and pride. Hours later, Claire and Ryan met in a quiet garden courtyard. The air was fragrant with flowers. Birds sang in the trees. Claire sat on a stone bench. Ryan paced nearby. "Why did they doubt you so much?" Claire asked softly. Ryan stopped. "Power and change make people uneasy. They saw me rise quickly. They feel their own power threatened." Claire nodded. "I will not let them harm your honor. You proved yourself." She reached for his hand. Ryan took it and squeezed gently. As they spoke, a young guard approached. His face was pale and anxious. "Princess, human soldier," he said, "I have news." Claire and Ryan rose. The guard bowed. "I overheard two advisors planning to remove Ryan. They spoke of forging evidence that he stole weapons. They will present it tomorrow at dawn." Claire's eyes widened. Ryan's jaw tightened. "We must stop them," Claire said. "I will expose their plot," Ryan said. "But we need proof." The guard nodded. They meet in the old council room after midnight. Claire's eyes lit up. Then I will go there and listen. You find proof of their treachery. Ryan agreed. I will search their papers. Together we will end this. That night, Claire crept past dark corridors to the council room. Moonlight filtered through tall windows. She hid behind a large pillar. Two advisors entered, carrying ledgers and scrolls. We only need one forged report, one said. Then we can tell the Emperor that the blade is missing and Ryan stole it, the other nodded. Princess Claire will defend him. We must act before she can speak. Claire's heart pounded. She crept closer. She saw a scroll with Ryan's name and a note in the advisor's handwriting. She slipped the scroll into her cloak. Meanwhile, Ryan searched the advisor's chambers. He found a hidden drawer under a desk. Inside lay forged seals and blank reports. He took photos in his mind and memorized the seals. At dawn, the Emperor called the advisors to court. Claire and Ryan stood before him. The suspicious advisors entered, their faces smug. One held a folded scroll. Your Majesty, the advisor said. We found evidence that the human soldier stole weapons from the fortress. Here is the report. He unfurled the scroll and handed it to the Emperor. Claire stepped forward. Your Majesty, forgive the interruption. She unfolded her cloak and revealed the scroll she took. She placed it on the Emperor's desk. This scroll shows the advisor's own plan to forge false evidence, Claire said. They meant to hide their theft and blame Ryan. She looked at the advisors. They sought to gain power by removing a true champion. The Emperor read both scrolls. He frowned. He then looked at Ryan. Ryan spoke. Your Majesty, I found a secret drawer with these forged seals and blank reports. They planned this. He held his hand out as if showing the drawer. Their handwriting matches the seals here. The Emperor turned to the advisors. His voice was cold. You betrayed my trust. You plotted against a loyal soldier. The advisors bowed their heads. Because of your treachery, I strip you of your rank and powers. You will stand trial for this crime. The advisors dropped to their knees. Claire stepped to Ryan's side and took his hand. The Emperor turned to them. Claire, Ryan, you are true heroes. This empire owes you gratitude. He placed a hand on both their shoulders. I name you co-champions of the empire. Serve with honor. Claire smiled and felt her heart glow. Ryan bowed. The court cheered. Later, in the palace gardens, Claire and Ryan walked side by side. The morning sun shone on flowers. Claire looked at Ryan. We faced court intrigue and we won together, Ryan smiled. With you by my side, I can face anything. Claire squeezed his hand. And I will always defend you. Together they walked on, ready for whatever the future would bring. Claire awoke to the soft glow of dawnlight filtering through her window. She stretched and felt pride swell in her chest. Beside her, Ryan slept, his face calm. She watched him for a moment, then slipped from her bed to dress. Her leg was almost healed. Only a faint ache remained. Downstairs, the palace hummed with activity. Messengers hurried and guards practiced drills in the courtyard. Claire met Ryan in the hall. He bowed and she smiled. Together they made their way to the training yard. In the yard, soldiers trained with swords and shields. Claire and Ryan joined them. Claire led a practice duel with two recruits, showing new techniques she learned with the star-forged blade. Ryan taught a group of archers how to aim with precision, his silver bow guiding their aim. After training, the Emperor invited them to breakfast. They walked through sunlit gardens to the dining hall. A table was set with fresh fruit, bread, and spiced tea. Claire poured tea for Ryan and herself. They ate quietly, talking about their plans for the day. The Emperor entered with his council. He sat at the head of the table. Claire and Ryan stood to his right and left. He spoke warmly. I have news. Scouts report unrest at the northern border. A band of raiders threatens villages. I charge you with leading a peace mission. Negotiate if you can, fight only if needed. Claire and Ryan exchanged looks. Claire nodded. We will go at once, Ryan added. We will seek peace first. The Emperor smiled and dismissed the council. They gathered supplies, maps, rations, and gifts for the villagers' grain, salt, and cloth. They rode north with a small escort of 10 soldiers. The road led through rolling hills dotted with farms. Claire felt the warmth of the sun and the hope of helping people. Midday, they reached the first village. Smoke rose from chimneys. Villagers paused work and watched the procession. Claire dismounted and spoke with the village elder, an old man. With kind eyes, she offered grain and salt. He bowed gratefully. "We thank you, Princess. May peace last." Ryan handed cloth to the other villagers. They smiled and accepted as they prepared to leave. A group of armed raiders appeared on a hill overlooking the village. Their leader, a tall man with scars, watched them. Claire urged her horse forward. "We come in peace. Meet us at the meeting ground." The raiders dismounted and joined them. At the meeting ground, a flat clearing with stones set in a circle, Claire addressed the leader. "I am Princess Claire of the Jalen Empire. I offer friendship and trade. Why do you attack our villages?" The leader's eyes narrowed. He spat. "We have no work and no food. Your taxes took what we had. We fight to survive." Ryan stepped forward. "We hear your pain. Let us find fair taxes and share resources. You need not be enemies." The leader hesitated, then gestured. "My people will listen." Claire and Ryan talked late into the day, crafting a pact that included lower taxes, work for the raiders in trade caravans, and shared food stores. As the pact was signed with ink and sweat, villagers and raiders stood together. For the first time they saw hope. Claire felt tears of relief. Ryan placed a hand on her shoulder and smiled. They rode back to the palace. The sun set in fiery colors. Claire and Ryan rode side by side. Claire spoke softly. "Today we saved lives without bloodshed." Ryan nodded. "Peace is the true victory." Back at the palace, the emperor greeted them. He read the pact and smiled broadly. "You have done well. Peace stands where there was only fear. You are true champions." He placed a medal on each of them, shaped like entwined swords and olive branches. That night, Claire and Ryan stood on the balcony looking at the stars. A gentle breeze blew. Claire leaned against Ryan. He wrapped an arm around her. She closed her eyes. "We have changed the empire together," Ryan kissed her forehead. "And together we will face whatever comes next." In the quiet of the night, the empire slept peacefully. Claire and Ryan stayed on the balcony until dawn. They knew their journey would continue, but they were ready. United by respect, trust, and shared purpose, they were bound for a future neither could have imagined when they first met in the arena.